what we'd like to know is how do you adapt your surveys and communications to address the needs of your different workforce populations? So do you use different methods for different parts of your organisation and reaching deskless employees? Sarah, if we swoop back round to you, just keeping on the theme there.
Sure, absolutely. For Five Guys, the majority of our workforce are kind of between the 16 and 24 age bracket. So generally very used to using technology, using phones. And for us, a lot of what we try and do for that population is going to be video, quick, short, sharp messaging to capture attention as well. And our CEO, John, he loves to produce videos, and he's been so behind us doing a really good engagement survey, but also being very transparent and open with the results with our people. We did use some poster formats. We tried to make the survey as accessible as possible, but I think it's key that you have buy-in from your management team. If you don't have that buy-in, then it's very difficult to progress and get that engagement level up as well. We also, competitiveness is one of our key values as well. So part of what we did when we launched the survey was we explained to the first 10 sites that reached 100% completion. We actually gave them a £500 towards a team night out, which created a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz as well. And we kept it really simple. Tell us what you think, have your say. And yeah, for us, we just wanted to capture as much as possible. For our support office staff, may not use Chatty Patty as much. That would be a lot more kind of face-to-face, or the videos were still there for everybody to see, and we had a good response rate for support office too. But the messaging, we tried to keep it simple, consistent, and very short and snappy and regular.
Brilliant. That's really helpful, and some key tips there. And I think the need to adapt, again, your channels, bearing in mind your demography of your generations in your workforce is really pertinent. I mean, I read recently that almost all of Gen Zers have access to their own personal mobile phone, which is unheard of previous generations, and therefore their intent to stay on social media and watch videos and digest content in that way. I had to Google TLDR. Personally, I was a very out of touch millennial. Too long, don't read. Go and learn it and learn all the lingo, because they don't read emails. So you have to adjust. And again, you have to have the right leaders and right leader skills to adjust their communication styles, which can be quite difficult. Danny, more of a traditional organisation, how do you approach communications?
Yeah, so our demographic is very different to Sarah's demographic, but listening to some of our feedback throughout our survey in 2021, our employees wanted to be able to complete the survey at home if they wanted to. So in our annual survey in 2022, what we did was we allowed any of our employees who were deskless to have the option to complete two ways. So they could complete at home if they wanted to. We'd send a link to their personal email address, or they could complete in the workplace using one of the kiosk codes. So it was giving the employee the option. So because we have got a wider demographic base, it was trying to cater for everyone, giving them that option. But we also make sure we communicate with our employees throughout our focus groups. So in 2022, we had 4 different focus groups across the year who would meet at least once a quarter to discuss the different themes that we'd identified as our focus areas. We had around 12 to 15 representatives from across our different business units. And it was a great opportunity for us to kind of increase that two-way communication. So the focus groups were sponsored by our exec board members, and they were receiving that first-hand unfiltered feedback from our employees, which was really great to see, to hear, and it also led to lots of different actions being put forward, which led to our communications afterwards being focused around what it is that we are doing. So at the beginning of the year, it was, right, these are the actions that we are looking at. We will also had a whole section around what we currently have. So as our communication is one of our biggest blockers, we were also finding that people were putting forward ideas for things that we already had in place. So it was then just reiterating that message to say, we currently have this, try and spread that word for us. And we were also really open and transparent. So for actions that we were unable to do, we were upfront and said, we are unable to do these, which again, that went down really well with our employees, because it was, okay, at least I've put it forward now, I know now why we can't do that. But also having that key message to say, we might not be able to do it right now. So that's not to say you can't bring up the idea again in the future, but right now it's not possible for us. And then going back to what you've just said, Mel, around too long don't read, we would make sure that we had all the notes for people that wanted the detail and wanted to read through that, but we also communicated out through icons. So we had posters at the end of the year saying, we've done this, and each of our different actions that we've put into place were all represented by an icon. So people could see really quickly, actually, this is what we've done as a result of giving our feedback.
I love that. And I think it's also about catering to neurodivergence and how people actually absorb information and knowledge. And I think it's brilliant. You know, there is always a need to blend channels and take to the people what they read and meet them on the channels that they're already using, rather than try and create new things all the time. Lucy, what are your thoughts on communications and getting in front of the right people?
Yeah, as I said at the beginning, you know, we have quite a challenging context, and actually, probably contrary to Sarah, where she's got lots of young people, we've got a very multi-gen workforce, and probably more at the older end. So not everyone's on TikTok and Insta, more so. However, I often think people underestimate how tech savvy almost everybody is nowadays. As my dad turned 80 recently and bought himself an iPhone 14. So that actually, you know, people, as we know, live a life online. You know, very few people get bank statements in paper form, except for anymore. So I think you can also make assumptions about your workforce and what you think they, you know, the way they want to communicate. When in fact, again, whilst we have deskless employees who are out on site who don't even have an email address, these are people, guys and girls with, you know, pads and tablets, you know, doing really complicated engineering work and using tech every day in their jobs. So again, I think one of the key things I would challenge is don't always assume, probably the same for Sarah, just because you've got loads of young people, that actually that's how they're all going to want to be communicated to. So for us, it's, as I said, it's a mix of lots of things, and we do we have something called toolbox talks, which we do, you know, daily before we set people to work. And we do a lot of things the old-fashioned way. And, you know, again, I think we can often overlook that. Actually gathering people in a room and setting up the week, actually talking to people face-to-face. You know, we can perhaps talk about smart working later, but you know, and again, we've got apprentices and people like that who can't do stuff remotely. You know, they need to be next to people being shown how to do stuff, you know, right there and then. And with our survey, we took a slightly different approach. We decided to do a kind of communication campaign and not mention the survey for about a month. So we ran a bunch of comms around, you know, great stuff that we're doing, you know, 400 promotions last year, and X amount of, you know, 62,000 learning hours complete, and, you know, a kind of a fast facts campaign around all the fantastic stuff we're doing here, and all the legacy benefits that HS2 is providing. Get people into kind of a positive space, not to answer the survey positively, but to actually show them that there's lots of great stuff that goes on, and it does get lost, like Danny said, that people put forward ideas. You think, actually, not only have we been doing that, we've done loads of it, and to remind people often in their busy lives, completely overwhelmed with everything from WhatsApp to email to things on poster. We did a poster campaign, and I think as well, to make it fun. I do sometimes wonder that, you know, you forget that actually people come to work to have fun, actually, with their colleagues and their friends. And, you know, we did a kind of a fun campaign with a guy with a speakerphone, and, you know, we had one with a dog with ears. We're listening to you. And and kind of make it fun and engaging. Because let's face it, a survey is actually quite a boring process, but how you position it and how you engage people in that, I think, is absolutely key. And we got over 90% completion rate. We didn't do all of our workforce, but we did nearly 3,000. So, and many of those people are not in the UK. Some of them are based abroad, and we have 56 nationalities that work for us. So multilingual, English not always the first language. So all this kind of pictorial stuff around what the others were saying around engaging people is really key, actually in the process itself, before even talking about sending them a link with a survey in it.